All right. Hold on one second. I'm just going to change one thing real quickly. All right. Welcome, everybody, to this episode of Think Business Live with Jackson Partrich and Daniel Sternberg. I'm looking forward to talking with you guys because it's hard to believe that nobody has come up with the concept of a drive-in movie theater, and you guys have a company now called 15 Mile Drive-In. And granted, it's COVID and things of that nature, but in our quick 10 seconds before we went live, we talked about what a long road it is. And so to me, a great topic and a great theme would be to talk about resilience, because I think that's one of the key characteristics of every entrepreneur everywhere in the world. But let's just, before we get to that, welcome both of you. Thanks for being on the show. Talk a little bit about just the concept of what you're doing first, just so people can get an understanding of 15 Mile Drive-In. Who wants to go first? Daniel?
Jackson, you take that one.
Right. Okay, yeah, so the concept behind 15 Mile Drive-In to start, first off, 15 Mile Road, it's right off of Drake Road. So the parking lot that we're using at the JCC is a parking lot off of Drake Road. So, yeah, I mean, this has been a long road. We had this idea back in mid-March. Me and Daniel were talking about it, putting together this drive-in. And, when you think of the idea, it's like, it's perfect, right? We'll put together – it'll be so easy, right? We'll just have we'll have 100 cars. We'll get a screen, and we'll sell concessions. It's not that hard, right? But it's a lot harder than it sounds. It took a lot of work, and especially when we realized in March when we had this idea, right, we saw the demand of drive-ins increasing across the country. So we knew our idea was really realistic, but the problem was the demand for screen rentals was going up. So getting a screen to rent was really hard. Working with the cities, working with West Bloomfield, we thank them for, helping us out and, getting us approved. But, working with the city is really difficult at all times. And, putting it together with JCC, who's now our partner on this, there's just a lot of details you have to work out. But it ended up working out amazing. So now we're doing this drive-in at the JCC. Our first show is this Sunday. We're gonna, after this Sunday, we're gonna be doing shows on Thursday night and Saturday night.
So let's back up. Congratulations on your success. I would say that most everything in business takes perseverance and just consistent action to make things work. Nothing is easy. I think people make it look easy, but nothing is easy. So let's back up and talk about how you needed to kind of collaborate and work with all of these moving parts. Because I think a lot of times these are barrier to entries that people will just give up, right? And so how did you kind of walk through the process when you wanted to give up, and how did you keep going?
So, I mean, I'd say the biggest challenge that we had was just us being two 19-year-olds. Like, we're coming into this, and like people look at us and we're just like, we seem like we're a little too young to be doing this, I would say. And so the first thing that we did was reach out to the city that actually owns the locations that we wanted to use. And I mean, the biggest thing was just they loved the idea. Everybody that we talked to originally always loved the idea, because like obviously having a drive-in during these times is a perfect idea. But the issue was actually executing it and making sure that it wasn't an issue for the neighborhood and for the location where it was. So I'd say that was probably one of the biggest barriers of entry for the drive-in. You actually want to take it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing too is just before we locked it in with the JCC, there was a lot of resilience that we had to do. And as you said, there was a point where Daniel and I were like, we were so close to just breaking down, but it was so important not to. We actually, before West Bloomfield, we were working, trying to work with Bloomfield Hills. Our plan was to do that at Bloomfield Hills, and we were working on it with Bloomfield Hills until probably the middle of April or the end of April. So we were working with Bloomfield Hills for 6 weeks until one committee, everyone loves it. And that's the idea, as Daniel said, everyone loves the idea until you were able to execute it. And then everyone in the city department at Bloomfield Hills loved the idea. But then one committee rejected it. So then we had to Yeah, like instantly. Like, we
Guys,
instantly
keep on
pivoted.
talking. Keep on talking.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, we like had to instantly pivot and move to West Bloomfield, which ended up being like a blessing in disguise because working with the JCC, working with West Bloomfield Township has been unbelievable. So we're really excited about it.
That's awesome. Let's talk about the power of mentorship. I'm a big believer that we all need multiple mentors in life, a minimum of 3. And so I would imagine that you had to reach out to a lot of mentors as you were, walking through this. I'm a big believer that youth is an advantage, but, sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. So you need those people to say, hey, this is where we're stuck. What do I need to do, say, or, talk to? So how did you guys reach out to mentors? Because what I find interesting about your business is a lot of the young entrepreneurs I've been talking to this week, didn't have a lot of these complications. And so these are just, complications that I think many businesses have, all over, and they don't reach out to mentors, and people don't ask for help. I see that all the time, right? Many leaders of companies or salespeople or managers, they're stuck and they don't ask for help. So how did you guys ask for help and reach out to your mentors and utilize them to get this moving?
Yeah. So we reached out to a few people. I'd say the first people that we reached out to were the people in the Bloomfield Hills government. But then, they also didn't really have experience with this. One person that really helped us out was John Goldstein over at the Maple Theater. A lot of perspective. We were reaching out to him to be a sponsor, but because of the hard times, it didn't work out. But he was very helpful and insightful because he's been in the movie industry for a long time. So he brought up a lot of different points that we never even would have thought of, just because they're just things that are like very unique to the movie industry. And then also, I would say Brian Siegel over at the JCC, he's got a very entrepreneurial mind, and he's been very, very helpful, just helping us to kind of expand our ideas and bring new ideas on the table and like really find different ways of engaging the community throughout the summer.
Yeah, that's
implemented a lot of this.
100%. Yeah, and I agree too. With John Goldstein, 100%. And then as Daniel was saying, kind of like building off of the point about Brian Siegel, a couple weeks ago, as we were finalizing the JCC, he had this idea of every Tuesday nights doing like corporate events. So having big, companies or organizations renting out the space from us. And at first we didn't really understand the idea. We thought, every night we want to sell tickets ourselves. But now looking back, that was a great idea. And now we're already reaching out to some organizations and companies to rent out our space every Tuesday night to their company to bring everyone together in a safe way. So yeah.
That's so great. And I love what you're talking about, because really what you're also talking about is the value of an idea, right? And so how one idea can accelerate things and compound things so quickly, and how people can go down the wrong path. And so when you look at that, and then other revenue ways to drive and build revenue and build your brand. Talk to me about your brand and how you've been building it. Your logo's great, right? Makes it look like it's from the 1950s, or at least to me it does. Kind of modernizing the old school drive-in movie theater. I see that you've kind of partnered with Detroit Popcorn. And, so talk about just kind of, the branding, the marketing, and then I want to talk a little bit about the partnerships more as well. But, how have you guys kind of, attacked that using social media?
So you want to handle that?
Yeah. So I think what we're really looking for is community engagement with all this, and also I really like the idea of the retro type of drive-ins, which is why we went with that logo. I think that it's very, very nostalgic, and it brings back memories of a time of when families were really together, and I think that's what's going to be most important during the summer, because there's really not that much to do, and to spend a night and bring your family out to the drive-in and just have a great time under the stars enjoying a movie is something very special, and something that's really hard to get nowadays, I would say.
Yeah. Jackson, anything to add?
Yeah. So in terms of the marketing, the social media aspect, you think it's so easy. You just follow a couple people and then the word will spread super fast. but it's not easy at all. Like me and Daniel have been spending hours a day on, our Facebook. We created an Instagram just last night, but we started with Facebook. We've been spending hours building our Facebook, getting promotions, making sure people are sharing it, making sure our posts give all the details necessary, following people. Like what I'm doing is I'm personally following, a good amount of people on my Facebook, inviting them to the page, our 15-mile drive-in page. Yeah, I know Daniel's doing the exact same. So it takes a lot of work, but that's the best way to spread the word. But it's not just some easy, you just invite your few friends and then word will spread so easy. Like, no, you need to, you need to reach out to as many people as possible, and then the biggest thing is also having people share on Facebook. So once people start sharing, word will spread even faster. So
yeah, the power of sharing is huge on social media. But I mean, it's interesting you're talking about that, because just how I got familiar with this just a couple of days ago, I think 2-3 days ago, was Jackson, you friended me on Facebook, and then Sari Chickerol, who does, who's a good friend and does a lot of PR for me. I saw her post that she with you in it and the movie theater, and then I kind of connected the dots, and so I texted Sari. I said, "Is this Jackson Partridge drive-in movie?" Like, because I didn't know about it, and so and then I asked her to make an intro to you so we could talk, because I just so happened to be having all young entrepreneurs this week. So I didn't want to.
And if I didn't follow you on Facebook, we might never have had this opportunity to talk. You might have never known about this drive-in. Maybe you would figure it out a week from now, but you probably wouldn't have known about it a couple of days ago. So it's about like, following, mutual friends and just reaching out to people. That's the best way to spread the word.
Yeah. And with social media, it's great. I mean, and I think that's great what you guys are doing. But I love what you're talking about, because I think a lot of times people think that things go viral no matter how great the idea, no matter how appealing the logo is, no matter how much fun it may be. It takes a lot of work to market it and get the word out. The average person needs to see or hear something 17 to 50 times before it even sinks in as something. So branding is so critical. Let's talk about partnership and relationships with partners that you have. I know one is the JCC. I know one, I'm assuming, is Detroit Popcorn. I just saw that you get like a free popcorn, I think, with every car. And so what has it been like collaborating and with partnerships? And my question also is collaborating with partnerships while still maintaining kind of the concept of what your business is.
I mean, it's gone pretty well. We really wanted to make this a charitable event, and so reaching out to different charities in the community. We're working with Fleece and Thank You, which gives.
Oh, I interviewed him on my podcast. His business is incredible. He's a great guy, and he deserved the Lay's. You know what I'm talking about, the Lay's potato chips?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. That's a great organization.
Yeah.
Tell everybody a little bit about that organization so they can learn a little bit about it.
Yeah. So about the Fleece and Thank You?
Yeah, it's just great.
It's amazing. I mean, actually at our drive-in, we're going to be selling blankets, and then a part of the proceeds for the blankets will be going, most of the, I think maybe all of the proceeds will be going to Fleece and Thank You. And yeah, about Fleece and Thank You. So what they do is they give blankets to kids in hospitals. So like they'll pair you up, with a kid in a hospital who's struggling with something, maybe, physically for sure, but also mentally.
Right.
Kids in hospitals, they feel alone. You know what I mean? And that's not, a kid shouldn't be in a hospital, right? So what they do is they partner someone up, a healthy person, whether an adult or a kid. They write them a note. They make a blanket for a kid in the hospital. And then they kind of just build a friendship from there. Then the kid in the hospital writes them back, and then they eventually meet up. So I think they did like 30 to 50,000 blankets last. I don't even know. It's a big number.
It's amazing.
So, but it worked out perfectly for the drive-in because there, we can sell blankets at the drive-in for people to have when they're watching a movie from the trunk. And I mean, the guy, he's so amazing, and Nick is so amazing. And
yeah, he's a great guy. Working with him. Yeah. I should have thought ahead and maybe had him on the show, but I wanted now, but just with you guys, just because he's so solid. Yeah. All right. So you got Fleece and Thank You, got the JCC. Go ahead. Keep on going.
And so those are the two that we're working with right now. We're trying to expand to more charities, and we're also, I'd say one of the biggest challenges of putting this all together is trying to find sponsors for all this. Like I said before, like Jackson and I have been coming into this and people don't really feel that we're necessarily like qualified to be doing this, I would say. And so reaching out to sponsors and trying to partner up with different organizations has definitely been more difficult. But that being said, I think now that we have gained some traction on social media and have actually started to expand and show that we're able to do this and put this on successfully, I think we're going to start gaining more traction and being able to partner with more businesses and organizations and hopefully more charities too. We're all about community and all about giving back.
I know you've said that a couple of times. People, maybe aren't taking you seriously. That's too bad for them. I think some people are just short-sighted. There's a great book that you fellas may enjoy if you haven't read it yet. It's called Crossing the Chasm by Jeffrey Moore. It's been around for many, many decades. But the book talks about, it kind of has kind of like this graph on it. And one of the things it talks about is, you have the pioneers of people who, are early adopters. And then you have the laggards who just are followers, right? Who don't have the innovative blood to think of, people who are 19, 18, 17, 16. I've interviewed entrepreneurs who are 11 years old on this show. And so, but if you keep on going, you end up finding the ones that really believe. And then, but that's great. But I hope that by you saying that, when people listen to this now, and when it's on iTunes and all over, kind of open up their minds that it's the youth and the young that have the bright ideas, the innovative ideas, and you and your generation is, they say your generation is the greatest generation since the great generation. And I believe it, because you're very forward thinking and you push people to be innovative and out of their comfort zones, which is great. And so my question to you guys now is, what are some of the things that you've learned about yourself that you didn't, just by walking through and starting this company?
I think I would say that what I've learned about myself is just whenever it comes to challenges, you really just kind of have to, I feel like when you're a kid, you have this idea of everybody knows exactly what they're doing when they're adults.
Right. That's not true. That's not true. Right.
At all. And I think that the biggest thing is just kind of putting yourself in a situation where you can look at a challenge and really conquer it. And it's not about knowing what's going to happen. It's about knowing that you can do it. And it's having that mentality and being able to push yourself to those limits.
Yeah. You know what I find, Daniel, is the best way to conquer that when things are, no matter how steep the challenge is, especially I think in many aspects of everything, but specifically business, it's kind of that, especially right now, because there's so much uncertainty with COVID and things of that nature. It's really just having kind of that day-to-day or weekly business plan reverse engineered to the day. And you just conquer the day and you just got to get to the next day. Yeah.
Right. Taking it step by step,
step by step. Right. Reach out to your mentors and take it step by step. And like you were saying earlier, like the John Goldsteins, John's a great guy, to just help you along the way. Jackson, how about you?
So I would agree with Daniel. I think definitely, since we're 19, I think you have to prove yourself a little bit more. There's definitely that sense of feeling like you have to prove yourself. And, if you've got this great idea, great, but how are you really going to execute it? And can the people you're working with, you're talking to, can they really trust you to execute it? But I think for me and Daniel, as he said, we know we can execute this. And we knew even when we were rejected by one city, we weren't just going to stop there because one city and one group of people, didn't believe in us.
Right.
We keep going, and because we knew how great this idea is. And me and Daniel still feel like we still have so much to prove. We haven't even shown our first movie yet, and we cannot wait for people to come on Sunday to see how great of a job we do, how well organized it's run. We can't wait to see that, just so we can continue to prove people wrong. But also, the biggest thing is also, as Daniel said, confidence. That all comes with, confidence. If you have confidence in yourself and you've done everything you could and you're doing everything you can to make this perfect and you really feel like it's going to go well, then I would keep going with it. I wouldn't stop just because you might get rejected once or twice.
Yeah, once or twice or 10 times or 30 times. I agree with you. You got to keep on going. It's interesting what you're talking about as far as proving yourself and executing. To me, the number one differentiator, study after study after study after study, will also back up what I'm about to say. the number one differentiator between if there was the two of you with this idea versus two other people next to you with the same idea, the group that's going to win is the group that consistently executes their plan. And the reason I think, I'm just going to kind of redefine what you're saying prove yourself. I'm saying I think most people, because most people do not execute consistently, they have kind of the mindset that most people don't, or they can't. And so something new may seem impossible. And so the way you prove yourself, the way anyone proves themselves, no matter how old you are, is just, like you said, never stop executing. That's one of the biggest differentiators. That's the biggest differentiator I see in everyone that I coach all over the country, no matter what the position is. People just keep on going. Yeah.
And Daniel and I also believe, and I'm a firm believer in it because, me personally, I've also put together a couple like other businesses myself. And like one of my biggest things, and some people hate it about me, some people love it about me, and I think Daniel has similar ideals to me too, is we're so hardworking. Like literally we are working nonstop. Like I didn't even eat dinner. Like I ate dinner like midnight last night. Like we're just literally working so hard.
Yeah.
I think probably we're working 14 hours a day. Like we're sleeping, we're waking up, just working. Yeah. There's so much behind the scenes that's going on. And if you don't work hard, if you're not persistent with people, if you're not, there's an element of respect and persistence. So we got to differentiate the two. Yeah. But you got to work hard, and if you really want something, you actually have to like put the effort in. Because if you're not going to do it, it's not going to work out. And I think that's a big thing too. You can have an idea, but you really have to put it together and actually work on it.
Yeah, I agree. Well said. Well said. Daniel, anything to add?
No, I mean, I completely agree with Jackson. And like, this is my first business, the first time I've really done something like this. And I mean, I've learned a ton from Jackson. And like he said, persistence is the biggest thing. And I mean, just like, I'd say what I learned most about this is just like taking responsibility really brings a lot of meaning into your life. And like, I've really, like, it's not only that we've been working hard, I've enjoyed the entire process. It's been a really great time. And I've loved learning all of this stuff.
If you don't love it, you're not gonna do a good job if you don't love it. That's a great point.
Yeah. You got to love what you do. You got to have passion. You got to love it. And then it doesn't feel like work. You may be working hard, but it doesn't feel like work if you really love what you're doing and the passion is there. Let me ask you guys a question. So to every entrepreneur out there, to every person stuck in a corporate job out there who has been thinking about starting a business, whether a full-time business or a part-time business, a side gig, a side hustle, whatever it is. I don't care if they're 10 years old or my son and I golfed, Jacob and I golfed the other day with a guy who just started his first business at 60 years old. What advice would you give them on being an entrepreneur?
I would say you have to really think outside the box. I would say that's the biggest thing. You really have to think outside the box. You have to think about how you can differentiate yourself from other people, how you can be a leader, and how your idea and whatever you want to move forward with can be different and can be successful. And then with that, as we've been talking about, I think it's just a lot of hard work. And as you said, as we've been talking about, getting advice from other people, there's nothing wrong with that. That's a good thing. Getting advice from other people is a great thing. You need to do that. But you need, at the end of the day, you need to think outside the box. You need to be doing something, even if you have a similar business to someone else. Why are they going to want to work with you? Why should I go to you than go to someone else? Is it something about you, your personality? You know what I mean? So how are you going to stick out? How are you going to stand from the rest? So I think that's the biggest thing.
Right. Yeah. Daniel, how about you?
Yeah, just on top of Jackson's point, I would say that gaining as much perspective as possible is key to this. I mean, I'm 100% hard work and like good decisions, but I think that you really can't make good critical decisions without gaining as much perspective as possible. And like that means listening to everybody. Like even if you don't agree with it whatsoever, it's so important to hear everybody's position on something. And by doing that, you gain such a larger perspective and you can make better decisions and become more successful because of that.
Yeah, I would agree. I think one of the most difficult things for people is not only to execute, but also make a decision. And if you're not surrounding yourselves and taking chances and taking risks, then you run into a problem. Well, fellas, this whole week has been incredible for me. I've learned so much from all of the young entrepreneurs, you guys included. This has been a great talk. I love your hustle. I love your drive. I love your perspective. I love the resilience that you had to show, and the relentlessness to deal with the city and all of that type of stuff. That stuff is not. There's nothing easy about it. Tell everybody where they can learn more about the 15 Mile Drive-In, how they can get a hold of you, when, where, and all that other good stuff.
So John, I think I sent you a text message with our ticket link. Maybe if you want to like add it. I don't know if there's like a comment section where you can add our ticket link.
We can add it, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I sent you the ticket link. Our Facebook name is the 15 Mile Drive-In Theater. So just simple as that, the 15 Mile Drive-In Theater. If you go to our Facebook page, you'll also see the ticket link on our Facebook page. You'll see all of our flyers. You'll definitely give us a like, because we're gonna have updates every week on all of our new movies. After this Sunday, it'll be Thursdays and Saturdays. So definitely give our page a like. And check out the link, and the ticket link is on the page, and then also our Instagram is 15 Mile Drive-In.
All right, cool.
I think those are the two best places.
It's great. All right, good. It'll be this is going to be this right now is going live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. But it'll also be sitting on my website by the end of the day, which will have a link to the ticket place as well. Well, guys, I can't thank you enough. Daniel, Jackson, thanks so much. You guys are inspiring. Thanks for your hard work. Keep going. I can't wait to see, 20 years from now, all the things that you've done and built. You guys are impressive. And thanks for bringing something more importantly to the community, that everybody, the good that you're doing and giving people kind of a respite to go to a movie for not only the community, but the charitable causes that you guys are connected to. The importance of giving back, which we didn't talk about, but it did in a way. The importance of giving back is so critical in everything I think that you do. So I applaud you guys and your success, and I'm glad that I learned about this and got you in this week. And I wish you nothing but success. And if there's anything that I can do, don't ever hesitate to reach out and give me a buzz.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks,
really
guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Talk to you.